Miss Purdy's Class by Annie Murray. Read by Annie Aldington. Boxing Day, 1935. The bottle smashed through the window and shattered on the blue bricks of the yard. "You filthy, stinking whore!" His father flung the door open so that the children's screams echoed round the yard. He lurched outside. Joey stood dry-eyed, paralysed in the one downstairs room. There had been plenty of fights. He knew it was different this time. "I'm not stopping here one bladen minute more." Wally Phillips stood out in the yard, yelling back at the house. He was a thin, stooped man. "I've had all a man can take. 4 bleeding whelps to feed and clothe, and that brat in your belly ain't even mine. I've put up with your boozing and your carrying on. I ain't slaving myself to the bone for you no more." He stumbled backwards and cursed, just managing to regain his balance. "You in here with your legs spread for any tomcat who calls at the door? You filth, Dora. There's no helping you." The children's crying did not abate. Joey froze somewhere deep inside. His father was circling the yard. "That's right," Wally yelled. "You all listening, all of you? Call yourselves neighbours. What have you ever done for us, eh? Couldn't stop me wife being a fucking whore, could you? Lying here pouring me wages down her throat. What did I do, eh? Loved her, I did. In the beginning." He lowered his voice. "Christ, I did." For a moment he stood swaying. Then he raised his fist and punched at the air so hard he almost fell over. He turned to go. "Dad!" Joey fought to unlock his muscles. He ran outside, seeing his father striding towards the entry bareheaded, shoulders sagging in his threadbare coat. The boy tore after him. "Dad! Don't!" A great sob forced up inside him, as though his chest was ripping apart. Wally pushed him off with the force of a drowning man. "Don't, son. I can't. Just can't. Look after your mother, Joey. You'll have to be a man now. I can't live with it no more." Joey reeled back, clutching at the sill, his boots crunching on the broken glass. "Dad!" It was a weak, childish cry now, of despair. Through the broken window came the screaming of his brother and sisters, and his mother's coughing, on and on, from where she crouched on the bed they'd moved downstairs for her. She was in her 20s, her pale hair unkempt and straggling round her face. She coughed into scraps of rag which came away streaked with blood. Joey didn't turn to look at her or his howling brother and sisters. He had eyes only for the dark figure hurrying away from them down the entry. A moment later, his father turned the corner and was gone. "You'll never make a wife if you carry on like this before you've even reached the altar." Her mother's bitter words propelled Gwen upstairs to the landing, where she stood in the darkness, hands clutching at fistfuls of her festive red skirt, her eyes squeezed shut. She could hardly believe herself. She had done the one thing the Purdy family never ever did. She had made a scene. How had her inner feelings suddenly popped out like that in front of everyone? Their faces, how awful! Yet she could feel laughter threatening to erupt too. She'd enjoyed shocking them. "However am I going to tell Edwin's parents? You're abandoning him on the eve of your wedding. Heaven knows what the shock might do to an invalid like his mother." This was too much for Gwen. She stormed back to the top of the stairs. "What are you talking about, Mummy? You're being completely ridiculous. I'm not getting married for 8 months. I've taken the job for 2 terms, that's all, until the end of the summer, and then I'm coming home to marry Edwin. If it's too ghastly, I can always throw in the towel. Whatever is the matter with that?" "But Birmingham, darling." Gwen's mother stood beneath the streamers crisscrossing the hall. Though colourful, they sagged joylessly. "Gwen, what has come over you? You've taken this job without a by your leave, and the school sounds—" Ruth Purdy gave a shudder. "Well, an absolute disgrace. There's no telling what kind of rough people you'll be dealing with. And there'll be no time to plan the wedding properly. You're being
Sample complete. Ready to continue?